Speaking of college basketball, the women's college basketball had a fantastic fucking final just yesterday.
Awesome.
LSU beat Iowa. Shout out to Caitlin Clark and that Iowa Hawkeye team run. And shout out to this squad. This girl right here, I believe, went to West Virginia at some point. She had like 21 points coming off the bench. The girl way over there, Angel Reese, everybody's mad at her for talking shit, okay? I don't know why we're doing that in sports. Seems like something that happened. I do understand how people could be confused that when your team wins a natty and you saw the coach crying and many of the players, because if you win a national championship, incredibly emotional moment.
Yeah.
I think there's people that could potentially ask the question, like, in that moment, instead of being like overwhelmingly happy and crying and just taking in a moment with teammates and with coach, she chose to talk shit to Caitlin Clark instead. So I can see how some people could be mad about that. I would like to let them know I'm not one of them. I enjoy the fact that till the final fucking second was on the clock, she was like, what's that?
Yeah.
I mean, that is something that I think if you're an athlete and a competitor, like that's savage, dude. Like, because that could be a moment that could get too big for even the biggest of shit talkers or the biggest dogs in any sport. Just won a natty. This is bananas. This is a massive moment. And to power through that and be like, nope, I got some shit to say.
Yeah.
I think that's a dog mentality that I think is hilarious. It caused quite a conversation on the internet. People are not happy with her doing it. Show a little class. Show a little class. It's like, hey, some people that are competitive aren't classy. Like, there's some people that talk shit. Yeah. There's a lot of people that we love that are huge shit talkers in society. And in any way that you can motivate yourself to become the best version of you in sports, you're allowed to do so. That's kind of the difference of sports in the rest of the world. Obviously, the way she motivates herself and the way she has gotten to the point where she has led a team to a national championship in college, which means she's an absolute dog, has been with an attitude of being a shit talker. So that was a surprising thing that people were upset at her about. I'm like, if a dude was doing this, they'd be like, this dude's awesome.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
But I don't think the people that would say this dude is awesome were the people that are mad about it.
Sure.
So, like, I would like that to be known.
I agree.
Because, like, we would definitely say, this dude's fucking awesome if this dude was doing it. Just because if you think about the human and everything we just explained, to worry about that as opposed to what you could be worrying about in that moment is, like, savage, which I just kind of explained. I don't think anybody that would go to bat for a male athlete that was doing that were the people that were being very loud about it not being classy or not should do that.
Sure.
So I don't like that automatically starts happening where people are like, well, if this was a guy, everybody, the same people that are upset with you. It's like, I don't think that's the case.
No.
I think this is a different audience that maybe doesn't even know
Sliding in.
all of the dudes that do a lot of shit talking in the sports world. I think personally, could be wrong. But once again, the internet's going to have its reactions, and it should not take away from the fact that the LSU Tigers, go Tigers, are national champions, and the fact that I learned of a human named Caitlin Clark, who I am a massive fucking fan of.
Yep.
And I can't wait for this offseason when there's no lights on in the gym, and it's 4:30 a.m., and there's nobody there, and Caitlin Clark has 2 basketballs, and she's just fucking doing this for 4,000 reps or whatever, and all she's thinking about is this very tall girl who played for LSU, who before she fucking won her national championship felt obligated to go to Caitlin Clark and go, hey, bitch, you can't see me. That's all Caitlin Clark is going to be thinking about for the next 4 to 5 months, and whenever that happens, wait until we see Caitlin Clark next season. This is this is great for sports. I think what college basketball, the women's side did during this entire tournament was fantastic for the sport as a whole. And I like that it has juice.
Oh, yeah.
I like
Big
that there's
time
juice. I think everybody should. The Toxic Table's here at Boston Connor, at Ty Schmidt. One half of the Hammer, Dahn. Cowboys Tone Diggs is here. You look great. I hope you had a fantastic trip back home.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem. Ty, let's talk to you. You're an Iowa Hawkeye.
Yep.
Hate or love the "you can't see me" from Angel Reese to Caitlin Clark? I assume as a person that's a fan of sport, you know that this could potentially exist. Maybe not a fan because you're on the losing end of it as an Iowa Hawkeye. But what was your thought of the game and the run and that situation as a whole?
Yeah, like you said, not a fan of it because I'm a fan of Iowa. I mean, like, overall, who cares? That's sports. That's what happens. If Iowa won, you damn well know Caitlin Clark's doing the same thing. So it's
she even did the
exactly.
Not in the face.
No,
it would be a little different. I think is what people would say.
And I think that is what at least what I was thinking of at first was like Caitlin Caitlin Clark scored 31 points. She did everything. So if she would have played like complete shit and she's doing that to her, then it's like savage.
Oh, so you're saying because I didn't get to see the whole game, misguided shit talk as well.
No, not
she did see you.
Not necessarily, because that girl is unbelievable, obviously, and leading up into the game, that's really all anyone's talking about is how good Caitlin Clark is, and for good reason. I mean, she set the record for most points and assists in an NCAA tournament, so like she had an unbelievable run, but it is what it is. Yeah, I think it motivates, it'll motivate her moving on. As an Iowa fan, you can't, that's the first, really nationally relevant thing they've, as a university they've been a part of in a long time. So, yeah, it sucks they didn't win, but she'll be back next year. The thing that was...
The refs. We're talking about the refs.
That's the thing, and you don't want to just, go towards that, but it's that is... You could very easily point to that and be like, this moment was too big for these refs. Going into the fourth quarter, not even... We can get to that in a second, but... within 5 minutes of the first quarter, Angel Reese already had 2 fouls. Caitlin Clark had 2 fouls. Their other Sonano had 2 fouls. So
I seen when I turned the game on, Sonano had already fouled out, and I'm like, yo, Sonano is a fucking weapon.
Oh, yeah.
2 knee pads on both, 2 ankle braces.
Oh, yeah. Dirty work.
She's fucking setting screens, and then she's
incredibly efficient finishing at the
those layups. She's full sprint.
Yeah,
I'm sending that off the backboard back to maybe the 3-point line.
Unbelievable touch.
So quick
but it
dope.
Was, she was, for sure. But it was the same thing.
She was out. She fouled out. I'm like, how do we let her foul out? That's one of the best players.
LSU shot lights out, so it probably wasn't going to matter. I mean, they just couldn't miss. But going into at the start of the fourth quarter, at the end of the third quarter, 3 of Iowa's starters already had 4 fouls. And they had already made a little bit of run. But you put them in that situation, you can't play any defense, so you're already having a tough time defending them. And then it's what do everyone watching this game, do they want to see Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese foul out with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter? It just can't happen, especially coming off what Iowa just played South Carolina, and it was super physical. And
so what are these refs going to say? Well, they got to play cleaner basketball. There's bullshit calls, I assume?
Terrible. Yeah. Just little reach foul. Yeah, Caitlin Clark
what she did
behind
the back.
Threw it behind her back, towards the baseline. They gave her, that was her 4th foul. They gave her a technical for that. It's just shit like that. We're in the middle of the season. Maybe that's one thing. This is the national championship. This is a big deal.
Have a little situational awareness.
And they had none.
Let them play.
They had none.
But Angel and Caitlin early 2 fouls.
Yeah.
Hey, we don't need the coaches to have to make a decision on whether or not they should have them on the floor.
Exactly.
Because that's what it is, right? You get 2 fouls. I don't know a lot about basketball. Okay, I know the people that make buckets win, and the people that don't. So I think teams should try to make buckets.
Yeah, that's right.
And then kind of move on. It's like whenever I was asked about the Avengers movie.
Yep.
Hey, how's this thing going to end? Well, pretty basic. Get those rocks from that fucking guy. It's all over.
Snap them away.
It's easy as that. Turned out that was a spoiler. I said it 4 months before the movie came out, and I got attacked for it. It's like with the officiating thing, don't even have to make a decision of whether or not keep in with 2 fouls or take out with 2 fouls, or Caitlin or Angel having to play completely different style of basketball.
They can't play defense at all.
Yeah,
at all.
I saw Caitlin at the end was just letting people go, kind of, and I assume Angel was doing the same.
Yeah,
and you mentioned too, this is a point in women's basketball where it's people almost cared more about that national championship than they did about the men's Final Four. A lot of people probably did. So you have a bunch of new viewers and a bunch of people watching it. And then within the first quarter, it's well, the fucking girls that I came to watch are sitting their asses on the bench. What the hell is this about?
Let's not get crazy, though. How'd Flauge just got the flow?
Oh, yeah.
I saw a freestyle one time, and I said, okay.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Who's this? Why is this person not a famous rapper? They're well, she is, and also she's a college women's basketball player. For who? LSU, they're in the national championship. I learned this within the last 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm damn, the women's college basketball has more star power
Exactly.
than, to your point, than anything going on the men's side, which is great for women's college basketball.
Yeah.
And it's also good that Caitlin Clark's going to be back next year, right? I mean, there's no way she leaves.
I don't think you can.
I would like to put out an NIL deal to Caitlin Clark, by the way. I don't know if it's possible. We would like to do some sort of something to be a part of this revenge offseason that's going to happen. If we know anything about athletes and competitors, which is kind of what we talk about on this show, we're a big player athlete version show, obviously, because I was the lowest form of a professional athlete, but I was around a lot of great athletes
in all sports.
and in all sports, and got along with pretty much everybody and got to like kind of see how they all operate. What Caitlin Clark's about to, I bet you she was in there today.
Oh, yeah.
She was in there today.
Back at it.
I bet there's 1,000 shots today, 1,000 this, probably a whole new film. Like she is probably locked in. So good for the Hawkeyes going forward.
Yeah.
Good for women's college basketball as well.
Ty's point.
Which is, we're talking about women's college basketball right now on Overreaction Monday,
Yeah.
April 3rd on this particular program. We are not terrible people, we promise. We ain't never expected that to happen, no? Just because, like, all right, we talk about things that are relevant to our world. We can only speak about things that we know about. It was an honor to kind of follow along with this women's college basketball tournament. All the way from Miami coming into Bloomington and beating Indiana. I like watched that only because Indiana was involved in the game. And my wife, big Indiana fan. So I turned it on just because I thought it was maybe a replay of the Miami-Indiana game from the night before, which was in the tournament. We didn't really know what it was. Put it on. Electric.
Unreal.
Oh, I watched like the final 2 minutes. It was fucking electric. And then Caitlin Clark kind of got introduced to the story like a couple of days later. It was like, I'm all in on this fucking March Madness with the women's tournament. We have to talk about it.